Absolutely.
The pleasure is all mine.
It's great to see some people are still joining, but I think it's time to get us started. Once again, hey everyone, and thank you for joining us for this edition of the Developer Office Hours. We have a super packed agenda for the day, because today we're providing an update on the status of the Gemini 3H Nova EVM domain, looking at the documentation, translation, and contribution contest contributions. Talking about Space Acres, we have a special guest, our researcher Daria, who is going to give a talk on the math behind dynamic rewards issuance, and we will reveal a new initiative that we're really excited about closer to the end of the call. Yeah, so without further ado, let's get into it together. Just this morning, our developers made a runtime upgrade and enabled domains and operators on the Gemini 3H, which are the final steps in preparation for the Nova launch on Gemini 3H. We're happy to share that our EVM domain built on the Gemini 3H network will be fully up today. And it will still take us some time to redeploy the faucet, update the RPC endpoints in the docs, etc., etc. But I'm confident that you can start utilizing Nova by the end of this week. Just don't forget to update the RPC endpoints in the MetaMask settings or other wallet that you're using. And we're looking forward to everything you're going to build with Nova in the upcoming weeks. And happy developing. Switching some gears. Traditionally, at the beginning of the developer office hours, we'd like to thank all of you for the contributions you make as a part of the documentation and translation contests. Last month, we've got 4 documentation improvements and 19 translation contributions for 3 languages, translating over 9,300 words. The best PR of the month was PR 398, written by Gvozdev, which fixed the added functionality of each DocuSaurus page, which was previously leading to the 404 page, and now it takes you to the proper page on the GitHub. And traditionally, the winner gets 200 USDC, so congratulations to Gvozdev. The top translator of the month for the second time in a row was Zolkes, with 2,695 words translated, scoring 50 USDC for their contribution, with the MegaMask coming second, with just a few hundred translated words less behind. And just a friendly reminder that the the documentation contest and translation contests are ongoing contests, and each month you get 250 USDC for the best contribution of the month and 50 USDC for the top translation contributor. So feel free to participate and get a chance to score some USDC. In the past month, it's also been great to witness all the interesting discussions happening in the developer channel on Discord. A huge shout out to Hake Hardware, Wolfrage, Zalkes, Aras00, and Nazar for bringing our developer channel into life. Please keep those discussions ongoing, guys. It's really exciting to read through them. We've also seen some of the best engagement for the documentation improvements already this month, which is, once again, super exciting. Another great news, we grew up to 136 people with a developer role on Discord. That means that 136 people link their GitHub profiles with us, and that's the biggest number we've ever had. Once again, we're thrilled to have you guys and looking forward to engaging with all of you. And Jim, do you want to take it away and talk about a little bit about the Space Acres?
Absolutely. Thanks, Emil. Strange X. We will have a Q&A at the end, my friend. I see you asking to speak. We'll hold some time at the end where you can come up on stage with your questions. But right now, I want to talk a little bit about Space Acres. And for anyone who's unaware, Space Acres is our GUI farmer. So it has a front end. It kind of integrates with Windows and Ubuntu. I've worked on it with. I haven't played with the Mac OS because I don't have a Mac, but it's got a lovely UI. Gives you a real overview of how your farmer is performing and where you are in the plotting and farming process. So Nazar started working on it in his spare time originally, and telemetry tells us it is continually gaining in popularity since release. I checked this morning, and almost 8% of Gemini 3H farmers are using it. I wonder how long it'll take to break 10%. And that can be contrasted against 92% on advanced CLI and just 0.1% on Pulsar. Our original plan was that Space Acres would remain an unofficial application and stay in Nazar's personal repository, and that we would start a flywheel of community contribution spinning. This has proved a bit tough to get going so far, and we are redoubling our efforts on this aspect of developer community engagement, which Emil will be talking about in a short while. But meanwhile, Pulsar has had some issues. That means it has not always been possible to keep it and the Subspace client SDK it is built on up to date. I know it wasn't there for a portion of the last network, and it wasn't quite ready for launch or 3H either. Pulsar targets users who are comfortable sacrificing some configurability for ease of use, but it is similar to the advanced CLI in that it runs on the command line. Today, I'm excited to be announcing that Space Acres has become officially supported and that we will be phasing out support for Pulsar. Eagle-eyed community members, or at least those who subscribe to our org, will have noticed that Space Acres was recently shifted over into the Subspace GitHub organization. This move is not just administrative, it signals our ongoing commitment to Space Acres. Despite its new official status, we're still very keen to see community contributions to Space Acres. But this shift does mean a few things. So we are about to deploy our first version of the Space Acres official documentation. Justin's been working on that, and we're just putting the finishing touches on the pull request to push that to our docs site. And we will be marking Pulsar as deprecated on those same official docs. Personally, I think Space Acres is great, and reducing our product set in this way makes the path to farming for new users clearer and less confusing. Would you like ease of use, get started, in as few steps and in a really intuitive environment with Space Acres, or are you a more advanced user, someone who's really trying to squeeze every ounce of performance out of your hardware, and the advanced CLI continue to provide that extra configurability? But we do hope that Space Acres is going to bring a new dawn of easy participation to the widest audience we've targeted yet. As we embrace Space Acres, we also reflect on our broader toolset. We are considering a rebranding of the advanced CLI to make it more intuitive and inviting. Names like Subspace CLI and Space Console have been suggested internally and are on the table. But this is, as I always say, a collaborative journey, and your insights are invaluable to us. And to that end, I'd love to hear your suggestions, either in the chat today or in Discord later on. I will be asking, canvassing opinion in Discord. But yeah, come up with a cool name for the advanced CLI going forward. And with that, I want to say thanks, everyone. And I want to pass back to Emil, who's going to talk about something I always enjoy participating in.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. For those of you who don't know, the Subspace development team, research department, as well as ecosystem team have a bi-weekly sync called DevSync that we've been uploading to our YouTube channel for over 2 years now. Crazy number to think about. Developer Sync is the best way to stay up to date with all the evolution happening under the hood. Our developers and researchers are discussing the new features introduced to the software and the enhancements of your user experience, while the ecosystem team provides a list of the ongoing community engagement initiatives and provides answers to all the community hot topics. It's a very technical discussion, but at the same time, it's easy to follow and easy to understand for every Subspace community member. I highly recommend subscribing to our YouTube channel and watching the bi-weekly dev sync. It's what I'm personally doing in case I miss the call. I just go to our YouTube and watch the recording. It also allows me to stay up to date with everything which is happening with Subspace because the things are moving very, very fast. It's back to you, Jim. Yeah, I'll just drop the link. Oh, yeah, thank you, Justin. The link to the dev sync, which happened this Monday, February 19th, is here in the messages.
Thanks, Emil. Yeah, so I'm not just pushing it because I'm on the call, but there's always some great alpha for farmers. It's DevSync. It's an opportunity for the engineering team in Subspace to talk to our community. It doesn't tend to run as long as our ecosystem calls, so it's not a big chore to watch, but it's always packed with great information for farmers. You pick up some alpha every time you watch it. This week's call was no exception. If you want to find out, for example, how record encoding concurrency works under the bonnet, Nazar gives us a rundown there. So yeah, please do check out the DevSync videos. But I want to talk about something else for a minute. I want to talk about how thrilled we were to note our first merged mono repo PR recently. Now, I see Zorkis is in the crowd, which is great. I was a little bit worried whether you'd be able to be here, Zorkis, but you're going to get some love now because it was provided by your good self. Zorkis in the crowd there, Roman Labgit on GitHub, in case there's any confusion, because I'm going to drop some links in the chat now. But you added some new Prometheus metrics to the farmer. The link to your PR, I should have, there we go. If anyone's interested in exactly what it looks like. And it may not be the biggest PR in the mono repo. The mono repo is quite sprawling and can be a little bit intimidating, but it definitely packs a punch, this PR, by providing real impact to our community. New metrics that Zorkis added benefit anyone who's keen to monitor the status and performance of their farming operation. And I encourage you, please do check out the conversation on that pull request, because reading through it, I thought it was a great example of collaboration between Zorkis and Nazar, and learning on both sides of the conversation, which is, it's great to see. Coming into a new repository can, as I said, be a little bit daunting, but Nazar very kindly guided Zorkis and managed to, between them, they came up with the right solution. It's what we love to see, and it's what our contribution initiatives are all about. Now, this impact was compounded, of course, with a complementary pull request to our docs repository, a double whammy that provided a simple, clean guide on how to harness the metrics the farmer exposes to present a unified farmer monitoring dashboard. It leverages the Prometheus data collection and the Grafana data visualization services. Let me pop this PR in the chat. Hey, Zorkis has his own emoji. Excellent. The cat. I like it. With this PR, the way it breaks down is Emil, obviously hosting the call here. Our developer community manager is on hand, and if you check his history and GitHub, you'll see that he's very welcoming. And as usual, he was on hand in the docs repo to shepherd the PR through to a merge state. The result of Zorkis's PR there is something, as a Grafana dashboard lover myself, I'm very excited to see. The layout is clear and not too busy, and it gives me the figures that I'm really interested in. And here is the result. Come on, it's not loading for me. There we go. So if you want to just go straight to see what we're actually talking about here, there's a new page in the docs that I've just dropped. And you can see that there's a preview of what the dashboard looks like. There's also step-by-step guides. It's exactly what we like to see. We're linking the official docs to install Grafana and Prometheus. Obviously, there is a multitude of ways to get those services spun up on your Farmer. But yeah, it's something that I want to highlight there, though, is that running this yourself has been made particularly easy because Zorkis has used the Grafana dashboard registry. This means that if you have a Grafana instance running somewhere, pulling the dashboard down to your instance of Grafana is as simple as entering a 5-digit number and hitting enter. It could not be simpler. It's something that I like. I really enjoyed seeing that. So thanks, Zorkis. Now, of course, now Zorkis is eligible to enter 2 contests this month. You do need to submit the submission. You do need to, fill out the submission forms, Zorkis. But of course, first the contribution contest, which we linked at the top of the chat there, where Zorkis, you've won yourself an impressive $250 in USDC for this amazing contribution. And then second, of course, in the documentation contest for your Grafana setup guide in the official docs. So not the mono repo, in the Subspace docs repo. Competition is a little more fierce in the docs contest. So you will have to wait until the end of the month to see if you're able to scoop the monthly $250 prize. And Emil touched on this earlier, but I did, thirdly, I want to point out that Zorkis is no slouch on the secondary part of the docs contest, because they are prolific with their translation efforts. I have not checked the leaderboard yet this month, but I know you're a crowding regular, and I just wanted to say thanks. Thank you for helping us to bring Subspace to a wider audience. Promoting inclusivity for those in our community who don't speak English. Right, finally, as if Zorkis hasn't had enough love so far, but Zorkis has been hacking around Subspace for a while. I want to acknowledge that. Who could forget their wonderfully incentivized testnet launch countdown timer, the one with the cat for those who are unsure, and also your innovative marketing shown as an operator on Stake Wars, of course. And to wrap things up, I just want to extend our heartfelt gratitude for your participation as a community developer, and a hearty congratulations on your well-deserved prize. Thanks, Zorkis. And while we're talking about tools built by the community, Emil, you have some thoughts?
Of course. Along with the new amazing Grafana dashboard, there is a whole list of third-party tools that are built and maintained by the community. We've also linked this list built by Wolf Rage to our official documentation, but really it has its own domain and available via the link that I'm about to drop in the chat. So yeah, the link is in the chat. Jim previously mentioned Zolkis' Grafana dashboard, but there are some other amazing tools that are available to you. Just to list a few. There is a farming monitor dashboard and control tool, which is called Subspace Farmer Thingy, built by Wolf Rage. There is a log monitor SS log event built by RS00. There is a Python SS log event monitor built by Jonathan, and I think this tool was probably one of the first community built tools that has been available for, I think, over the year now. So thank you, Jonathan. There is another tool created by Jonathan, there is another repo created by Jonathan, which has some various Subspace utils and upgrading tools, which is also worth checking out. There is 2 different sector times trackers. First, there is a Google Sheet created by Vexer, where you can manually import your sector plotting speeds and check how your speeds and your setup compares across similar system among the community members, which is great to see if you need to make any tweaks to your farming commands, or whether your hardware is performing as the way it's expected to perform. And there is another automated tool created by Hake Hardware, which is the automating plotting speed tool, which measures your sector plotting speeds and automatically pushes it to the table. And the tool is available over here. So by following this link, you can easily check out which setups use this tool, this automatic measurement tool, and their sector plotting speeds. While we're talking about Hey Hardware, he also has a great YouTube channel, guys. Yeah, it's really worth shouting out because he has some great guides. He overviews about Subspace, about the tools, space acres, etc., etc. So if you're more into, like a video installation guides, or you just want to hear like some third-party opinion about Subspace, please make sure to check out this channel. And yeah, Justin just dropped the link to this channel. Once again, huge shout out to every person that I just mentioned. We cannot thank you enough for helping out the community with these wonderful tools. And up next, we have another exciting item. Our researcher, Daria, will talk about multi-month effort by research and development team, as well as the finance department and block science on the topic of dynamic rewards issuance. Yeah, we're excited to hear more. Daria, the floor is yours.
Hello, can you hear me well? Um,
Yeah.
I hope so. I also apologize if you can hear my toddler singing in the background. She's pretty vocal and she insisted on staying here. So you're going to hear about dynamic issuance and subspace with some toddler noises. But I'm thrilled to see so many of you here today, and I'm honored to be on stage. It's always a pleasure that I do every once in a while. I will not be able to answer right now like the much of it when tokenomics or like disclose the exact block rewards on mainnet because well, we haven't finalized them yet, and we will be releasing the details when it's time. But those are community only. There's a sneak peek into what we're cooking. I am here to well describe you dynamic issuance. Those of you who have been following Subspace for a while know how like fascinating and challenging it is to build a new layer one from first principles, which is what we're doing here at Subspace. And as a part of that, we have been on a quest to figure out the best way to keep also the economics of our blockchain healthy and fair for everyone involved, from like the pioneers to the folks who will join us down the road. Okay, so this might be a pretty lot of technical stuff. You're always free to ask questions when I finish later in Discord in the forum. There is a forum post that Jim has put out yesterday. If you guys could link it in the chat, which speaks more or less about what I'm going to be talking. And feel free to ask questions there as well. So we have teamed up with our partners at Block Science and pool our brains between research, finance, and engineering to research, validate, and implement a solution to blockchain economics that is tailored to Subspace's unique consensus and decoupled execution framework. So we wanted a solution that is, of course, sustainable for the long haul, that combines the richness of existing research and adds some new tailored bits for Subspace. It's like trying to balance a seesaw for everyone to stay happy. And this is what we're trying to do with the new issuance model. So far in Gemini testnets, the issuance have been stable, as you all have noticed. You get exactly 0.1 TSST every block you farm and every vote you farm. This is going to change soon. We have developed a new issuance model, which we call dynamic issuance. and it stands on two main pillars. So the first pillar, to draw an analogy, we can talk about Bitcoin for a second. So for Bitcoin, every 4 years, there's like a big party for Bitcoin miners because the rewards get cut in half, and the next one is coming soon, and everybody is stoked. So it is a brilliant idea of halvings to make Bitcoin behave scarce and be like gold and precious metals. But it also can lead to like sudden changes in binary incentives and network securities when rewards get cut so much. That's why we are like taking a similar approach to the fact that rewards are going down over time, but it is distinct nevertheless. We are introducing a gradual decrease of rewards over time instead of like abrupt halvings in Bitcoin. So the decrease in subspace of both block and vote rewards is going to be very slight between one block and the next, but you'll be able to see it like over time. The benefit of such gradual reduction is it is still predictable, but way less disruptive to like the network economics. Moreover, having a decay function that starts higher and goes down in comparison to like the static issuance that we've had so far will allow us to provide a higher incentive for the early adopters, control the growth of how many tokens there are in circulation, but also prolong the lifetime of issuance. And I see you guys pulled up the plot. Yeah, this is one of expected ways that this is going to behave. For instance, you see that the rewards are like here decaying very, very, very slightly and following a curve. But I'll be talking about that a little later. So this first decay pillar is battle tested in blockchain ecosystems, and we're standing on the shoulders of the giants in this part. The second part is cooler. It's our in-house innovation made possible by our storage-based unique consensus. So generally, in a sustainable token economy, the fees the users of the chain pay for on-chain activity should be enough to cover the costs of mining or farming for like block producers or validators, depending on the consensus. However, when a yarn, a new chain is bootstrapped, the sufficient activity may not be there yet. So the protocol issues rewards that basically subsidize to farmers or miners the cost of running the network, their space in terms of subspace, electricity, their bandwidths, and this is a pretty common approach for lots of networks. But what's unique about the subspace approach to this is that the protocol accounts for fluctuating on-chain activity. It is tracking the average recent demand for the chain, demand for the block space usage, and at any given block, it will be tweaking the rewards a little bit based on this on-chain data, based on how much demand there is for the block space. So if the demand has been high enough, let's say like consistently 50% of block space is used, then the protocol would issue like roughly a half of the reward compared to what it would for like an empty block. So this way the protocol can conserve tokens and issue a little bit less for the blocks that are fuller because he knows that the farmer will get enough in fees to pay for their costs, to pay them for running a node and doing the farming work. But it allows the protocol to conserve the tokens and issue them later in periods where the demand may be lower and to allow to subsidize farmer and keep them on our network. You could think it about of like a freeway now. When there are more cars and transactions, then the road gets and earns more but from the tolls of those cars. And in the beginning, when we're just opening it up, we'll be giving a little extra to the early supporters. But as the traffic picks up, we will dial it back to keep the system running smoothly for many years to come. One note, though, that this only applies to the block proposers' rewards, but no to votes, because currently votes do not get transaction fees. So this part only applies to the block proposer. I know it's a lot, and the thing is that we, of course, will not be just throwing it out into the wild of mainnet genesis and hope for the best. It is the reason that I am here today to say that we will be testing all of this on Gemini 3H and making sure that everything works like a charm and all the corner cases are covered and there are no like overflows anywhere unexpected, none of that stuff. And that the rewards for every block draw realistically the same curve that I expect them to draw, like the one that Jim has pulled up. So the plot there basically shows what the rewards are going to look like from the moment we deploy this new issuance protocol up until like the million blocks. And you see that they start going down a little bit. So from 0.1 TSSC, you'll see 0.09999, 0.0009998, and so on and so forth. So they're going to just decrease slightly with every block, and they're going to get a little bit slimmer. But the thing is that like you will not see exactly 0.1 SSD hit your wallet anymore. So please be advised that this is not a bug or like something wrong with your farm or something wrong with the chain. It is going to be the new issuance function being tested out. Also to calm everybody down the questions you may have for the incentives of the testnet, it's also linked in the forum post. We will be counting the number of times that you submit a vote or a block, not exactly the TSSC you got for it. So a vote that before we roll this out got 0.1 SSC, and the vote that later may get 0.999, 0.099, will be the same for the terms of incentive testnet. It counts the number of times you voted, not the coins that you get for it. So this does not affect testnet rewards in any way, but it allows us to test the behavior and that the behavior is expected before we roll this out on mainnet, and gives us time to fix if we found any issues. We will be planning a live event to actually roll it out, and we will be giving you more details of when exactly that is going to happen, and it will be live on Discord, so wait for it, and the guys in the here on stage somebody will announce it when we are ready. So be ready to be part of this, of testing and going forward for this new and more finalized, more refined level in Subspace. Oh boy, that was a lot. Q&A. It's a little hard for me to pull up the chat here, so if somebody could list them out, that would be nice.
So, first of all, thanks, Daria, for that comprehensive explanation there. You're always wonderful at explaining the complex maths in a way that even I can understand. I really appreciate it. I'm just looking to see whether we've got any questions specifically on dynamic reward issuance. We don't have anything yet, but we also do, of course, appreciate that there's quite a lot to digest there. So highlights, if I'm understanding correctly, are that dynamic reward issuance is something that allows us to it gives us the tools we need to make sure that there's an incentive compatibility across all actors all participants on the network. And this decay curve allows us to make sure that we've got the longevity of the network. We're able to achieve like you said, like a Bitcoin halving, but much smoother. That we don't have this hardcore stepped laddered effect. So yeah, but of course the big item here is that something odd, or not something odd, but something new is going to be happening to the farmers when they check their balances. Balances which aren't divisible by 0.1 has been the preserve of nominators and operators up to this point, because obviously they were earning transaction fees. Now farmers are going to start to see these higher precision fractional rewards in their wallets. And we're keen that this doesn't cause a panic. I'm sure there will be some that will need their hands held when they see it for the first time. But hopefully, we're going to try and keep reinforcing this message. And this is something, these are the final pieces of the puzzle slotting into place. So we're feature complete for mainnet beta. Has anyone got any questions specifically about dynamic rewards issuance? We're going to hold some time at the end as well, so if something does occur, do feel free to pop it in the chat or pop your hand up. But I think should we move on, Emil?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you've noticed how thrilled we are about your third-party tools, documentation, translation, and coding contributions. Our goal is, of course, to create a vibrant community of developers. That is why we are unveiling that March will be a Hacker Month, the month full of development initiatives and bounties. And what you, as developer, can expect in the next month. First, we're going to showcase several dApps developed on Nova to the community, demonstrating the ease of interaction with our EVM domain and its integration with various different frontends. Whether you're just beginning your development journey, you'll gain insights into deploying smart contracts and transforming them into functional dApps. Second, there is going to be multiple bounties. We will create an open board of issues with a price for implementation assigned to each of them. We're expecting more issues and more contributions heading towards the Space Acres, our GUI software that is under active development, with a slightly lower barrier of entrance for contributions. But we are going to have some bounties for the monorepo contributions as well. We understand that some of you might not have enough Rust skills or coding skills to contribute, but do not feel discouraged. There is going to be plenty of issues for the UX and UI improvements that you can make. So even knowing some CSS are still going to be valuable and will be rewarded. Once again, the list of issues is going to vary from good first issues that should be easier to pick up to some pretty challenging technical ones. So there is a suitable task for every single one of you. And to the third point, to further assist you with your development needs, we're going to host a few workshops throughout the month. We don't have any specific dates or topics just yet, but make sure to follow the announcement channels to hear first about them. And there is actually a question to the community. Do you know any, how can we engage with you? Is there anything specific that you would like us to host? Or how can we help you as developers to thrive? Feel free to suggest any ideas as a message here to the event or later in a Discord developer channel. We're going to read every single one of your messages and hopefully something can emerge from there. And Jim, I know that there are some other ways to get to know about Subspace better and interact with us. Can you reveal it, please?
Absolutely. Thanks, Emil. So we did recently announce, of course, that we are off to ETH Denver 2024, which is next week. Yes, You read that right. Jim, Jeremy, and Ikram are gearing up to dive into the heart of blockchain innovation at ETH Denver 2024. This is, of course, a pilgrimage to the epicenter of Ethereum's ever-growing, ever-expanding universe, and we're buzzing with excitement to be a part of this extraordinary gathering. Why we're excited? Well, I'll tell you. ETH Denver is more than a conference. It's a beacon for thinkers, creators, visionaries united by a shared passion for Ethereum and its boundless possibilities. For us, it's a golden opportunity to connect. We're eager to meet fellow enthusiasts, share ideas, and forge connections that transcend digital boundaries. We're there to learn. The event is a treasure trove of knowledge with insights from some of the brightest minds in blockchain, and we can't wait to soak it all in and bring back invaluable insights to our community and also to share. This is our chance to showcase the strides Subspace has made and the vision that propels us forward. We're attending to tell our story, and we want you to be a part of it. So if you're going to be there and would like to have a chat about all things Subspace, anything Web3 developer, or just want us to take a look at your start commands, we will gladly oblige. Reach out to me, Jim, either in Discord or at my email address, jim@subspace.network, and I'll slip you a link you can use to coordinate a meetup with. And conversely, is there anything if you're not able to attend the event, is there anything you want me to check out while there? Something special you would like to have our thoughts on? Let me know, and I'll see. Because time permitting, of course, I'll see what I can do. Thanks, everyone. I think we've reached the end of our structured agenda, and I believe are we ready to transition into questions, Emil?
Yeah, sure. Let me just scroll up to the chat at the beginning of the call. No, there were a couple of people who were willing to speak on stage. Let's see if their hands are still up. Okay, so I just scrolled to the first question. It's from the Inlined one. Would it be possible to allow Space Acres to run without a direct local node? Basically, run it attached to a separate pre-existing node. That's a really good question. Like, to be honest, I don't really think why you would do that. But since the latest release, like during Gemini 3H, the folder structure for our main releases and for the Space Acres is the same. I think you should be able to just link select the folder with your node in Space Acres, and if you have like a synced advanced CLI node, it should be much easier for you to transition into Space Acres. But directly going back to your question, I don't think it's supported right now, and I'm not yet sure whether it's coming.
I would reinforce that with Enlightened One. It's a great question. Anything is possible, and I think what Enlightened One is keen to see there is the ability to maybe have like a separate node and farmer type setup with Space Acres. So maybe you have a Space Acres node running on one machine, and then you have two Space Acres farmers, or a node and farmer on one machine, and then just a farmer on another machine. I've linked a GitHub issue there, and this is a great chance for people to take a look at the kind of issues that we would like to see, contributions towards. And there is a plan kind of to separate those concerns, being able to support a supervisor and a sub farmer. Maybe it's something you can help contribute to. I'm sure that we would definitely put up a substantial bounty for someone a developer out there who'd be willing to help us advance, that kind of setup. But great question, Enlightened One.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and just found the person who wanted to speak on stage. Elran, we're going to invite you on stage, and you can ask your question in a voice. Elran. I think they left, or at least I don't see them in the list of in the audience anymore.
Yeah, I can't see the button to bring them up on stage. Not to worry.
Okay, so let me just scroll to the next question.
So
Yeah.
I'm already there. Oh, sorry, Emil, go for it.
No, it's Lucas. I just scrolled through the message where Lucas was, embarrassed by too much attention, but you totally deserve it, and don't feel bad about it. Yeah, we really appreciate all your efforts. Yeah, and there is a question by Neo. Would K in Chia proof of space be adjusted anytime soon? Maybe for mainnet? As far as I know, there is no plans to adjust the K parameter for the proof of space, for the Chia proof of space. That being said, if we notice that the farmer is plotting too quickly, the solutions are coming too quickly, so if we think that there is a need to adjust it to make the plotting a bit more challenging, it's going to be adjusted. But for now, I don't think that there is a plan to change it anytime soon or change it for the mainnet.
Another question from Neo. Does Subspace plan to be the DA layer for other chain, like storing chain history for other public chain? So if anyone's not familiar with DA layer, that's data availability layer. It's kind of a phrase that's been coined by the modular stack. There are certain projects that really lean into this. I think it started with Hyperledger a while ago, actually, is where it originally comes from. But essentially, the idea is that the modular blockchain stack separates concerns for execution and then storage. So obviously, Subspace is in prime position to be a DA layer Neo. Absolutely, we would consider it. We're looking at use cases. If you want to help us advance a plan to become a DA layer for another chain, yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great use case. Do we plan to do it? Our plans are kind of focused on mainnet at the moment. But I can't see any reason. I'm not aware of any blockers that would prevent us from being a DA layer for another chain. Great question.
Okay, the next one is from Zolkas. Are there any plans for a native consensus / EVM chain bridge or support for third-party bridges? Yes, there is a feature that is coming sometime soon, which is cross-domain messaging. This is basically will be sort of like a native bridge between the domains and the consensus layer. So I don't know like how soon it's coming, but it is definitely something that we are actively working on and is going to be supported by the Subspace network. Great questions, Lucas.
XDM, the foundations are in, the groundwork's been done. I don't know if Jeremy's still in the chat. I'm not sure when we can expect that, but certainly a native to EVM chain bridge is very important, of course. So yes, it's something that we will be supporting. And then, of course, we're also looking a little further down the line. We are very kind of much considering how we could bridge to other coins, other ecosystems. Some, is there a way that we could have something like Layer 0 where we can bridge SSC to ETH or Bitcoin or any other coin really? So bridges, absolutely, Zulkis. And native chain to domain chains is, I believe, that's supported by the XDM that we have planned. Shall I take the next one? Neo's asking, will Subspace team go to Web3 Festival in Hong Kong after ETH Denver? Interesting. Someone sent me the link to that very festival earlier today. I have kind of highlighted it in our marketing channel. You can expect that there'll be plenty of fanfare if we are going to attend NEO. We will certainly let you know.
Yeah, there is a great message by You Need Me, which is also supported by TraderShot, shouting out our developers with the users are really happy with the most up-to-date release. And You Need Me says that I was waiting for 5 months for this. Now my CPU runs with 97% load instead of being at 60 all the time. Yeah, so a lot of people in the community were waiting for this feature, and it's really great to see it working and the community being happy about it. Yeah, great messages, guys.
Yeah, the farmer chat is alive with comparisons of performance on the latest builds, on the Feb 19 build. Obviously, there are different priorities. People have different priorities. Some people want to wring every last CPU cycle out of their hardware and dedicate it towards Subspace. Some want to keep their machines, free enough to use as well. Maybe it's their daily driver. So pleasing everyone is a difficult task. But yes, some wonderful feedback. And I have to say that personally, I know we're veering off developer stuff here and more into farmer stuff, but personally, my farmer has never produced sectors so quick before. So yes, and it's all well. We know that it's Nazar listening to our feedback and acting on it and providing these UX improvements that's driving this. And yeah, absolutely. We don't have one of every CPU. Unfortunately, it'd be great if we did, but you guys are instrumental in allowing us to make sure that we're supporting as wide a set of hardware as possible. So please do keep that feedback rolling in. And be prepared to experiment a little bit. I see that people have been providing information and tweaking their concurrency settings today, which we're very grateful for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I see. Queen's piped up because I've put the supervisor subfarm GitHub issue in the chat.
Yeah, there is one similar question by Joss about Subspace serve as a DA layer. I think you've answered it. Just a few questions before, Jim.
Yeah, so Joss, same question. So the previous one was slightly different. He said, "Do we plan to?" We don't have it in our plan, but it's certainly something that we are conscious of as being a potential use case. So when Joss asks, can the subspace serve as the DA layer for other blockchains? Absolutely, it can. Abundant storage is something that Subspace brings to the table, of course. And in addition, does the Subspace store history data from other blockchains? Subspace can store whatever you commit in the transactions that it stores. So where we talk about the blockchain history and how it's how basically that every farmer is storing at least, is storing the blockchain history, which means it's storing the transactions of the blockchain. The data within those could certainly be used as an archive for other blockchains, Joss. Yeah, interesting. In fact, I believe that when I first joined the project back as a humble farmer, pre-Gemini, I think, I'm sure that the data that we were storing was actually data stored from, I think, was it a Polkadot and a Kusama relay backup?
Yeah, we did used to have a relayer from Kusama and Polkadot. So we've already tested the data availability pretty in depth, actually.
Yeah, we just deprioritized it. We thought that there were different, more interesting use cases, and there is not. What do you mean? There is an abundance of DA in the market. We decided to save our time right now a little bit from to be able to serve as a DA for our chains. We need to write up either off-chain, on-chain API to be able to actually retrieve the data from the way it's encoded, and Subspace to some sense usable on other chains. which, I mean, we can still do, but later.
Absolutely. Thanks, Daria. And Quinn asked very similar questions. Have you guys considered using your tech for something like storage, as in purchasable decentralized storage? Yeah. We are focused, as Daria says, on delivering mainnet beta at the moment. So a storage API is definitely something that we see in the roadmap further down the line.
And just to add to it, it's technically already possible to store anything on the chain, of course. You just can use extrinsic and store anything you want, and you'll be paying some fees for that. But yeah, hoping to expand the functionality in the future, of course.
Okay. Do we have any more developer questions? I can see we've got a couple more, but just want to make sure that everyone kind of caught that. Next month is our developer month. Emil and I are going to be spearheading. Well, Emil specifically is going to be spearheading some developer-focused initiatives. So it's a chance for you to come and hang out with us, and see if we can get some dev work done, and indeed start building out our developer ecosystem. So yeah, if there's any developer. If there's any developer-specific questions, we're keen. I see that people are showing off that they've got the latest 4900K. I'm quite jealous. Bing Bang, have you chosen your new ambassador? Okay, so we're quite far off course here, but the Bing Bang, I'm sure that if you are still in the running, you will have had an interview. So you should know if you're in or out. If you did not make it into if you didn't make the cut on this cohort, of course there's one every quarter, you should have had an email letting you know, but otherwise, yeah, if you're waiting for interview results, just bear with us a little bit longer. And I see Trader Shorts replied.
Yeah, and I think that's all the questions that we have for today, and we are pretty much on time. So once again, thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Developers Office Hours. Daria, thank you for joining us and revealing the updated dynamic reward issuance model. It was amazing to hear everything that you had to say. Huge shout out once again to every community member that is building the third-party tools and making contributions to all the ongoing contests. And once again, we're really excited about the upcoming March Dev Month, when we're going to have a lot of engagement initiatives. And we're hoping to interact and work really closely with you throughout the March. So please feel free to follow the announcement to stay up to date with everything that we are going to reveal very, very, very soon. Thank you for joining us once again, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.